Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Words of wisdom to start things off on a Monday morning. Drive carefully. Your car isn't the only thing that can be recalled by its maker. Think about that. Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on this Monday morning, October 30th. Good morning, good morning. Need a Pledge of Allegiance, person. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Big fall tire sale going on right now. Along with some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance to start things off this morning. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Are you the man?
I am the man this morning.
All right, go ahead.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wheels, I want you to stay on the microphone for a minute. First of all, I heard a little clicking. Is the line okay this morning?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
I don't hear no fuzz or nothing. So
all right, you don't hear any.
No.
Okay, there you go. I am your 7th grade English teacher. Let me just say this, and I want you to be totally aware of what's going on.
Yes.
That the Astros won last night, and they are up 3-2 over the Dodgers. You had bet me lunch that I was totally wrong, saying the Astros would take it in 6 games. I just really hope you're nervous.
You know, you got me chomping on the bit a little bit, but I'm only down 1 game, so we'll see what happens.
All right, buddy. Hey, listen, thanks a lot. It's time for the weather, brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South 300 west of Heyburn. Number to call, 678-3122. They're open Monday through Friday, 7 to 5:30, Saturdays 7 to 2. They get up early in the morning to serve you at K&R Rental, and they've got all the rental tools and equipment for both long and short term. Listen, they've got the things you need to get all your work done, whether it's a construction project, whatever. Give them a call. Stop in. K&R Rental, 256 South 300 west of Heyburn, 678-3122. Let's hear the weather.
You might want to hold on to your hats today because it's going to be a windy one. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. We are in a wind advisory for today, especially up through the noon hour. Gusts possible out of the northeast, right around 40 miles an hour. Other than that, looking at sunny skies, high of 50, tonight low of 26. Tomorrow, winds dying down, still going to be sunny, high of 54, overnight low of 36 for Halloween proper. And then for Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 63, overnight low of 37. As we look towards Thursday, slight chance of rain showers are going to be in the forecast. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Wind, I don't chase hats real well. Hey, it's brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South 300 west of Heyburn. And believe me, you can get online or you can call them, find out all about how much it's going to cost for the equipment rentals you need for that job. They have the best of tools and equipment right over there in Heyburn. K&R Rental, and the number to call, 678-3122. Happy birthday today to Sam Perkins. God bless you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Enjoy your birthday cake and a great big dish of ice cream. Sam Perkins, happy birthday. There you go. I'm going to ask you a favor for tomorrow, listeners. On Tuesday, Halloween, we're going to do something a little different, a little lighthearted, and in the first hour, we're going to have your scary stories. Yep, everybody call in the first hour tomorrow with a scary story, and we'll have some fun with it. Now, I hope they're true and not made up, but if, whatever, but calling with your scary stories tomorrow, and we'll have some fun with it in the first hour. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners. They can waterproof tents and clothing. There's nothing more ugly than to be up hunting or something. You get wet and you get cold and you want to go home. Well, Kevin over there at Daryl's Cleaners can waterproof tents and clothing and everything. And don't forget, they are the world's #1 dry cleaner. I stand behind that statement. They know what they're doing and they help you. Stop in with all your rumply crumplies and they'll come back looking brand spanking new. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those good people today. Absolutely the best. By the way, quickly, caller, I'll be right with you. Don't you run off. I want to remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. All your heating and electrical needs, these folks are good. And they've been in business for well over half a century serving you. All you got to do is just stop in and see them today at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Just a great day. A little bit breezy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start out by saying I love the American flag that represents the United States of America. Now, I see this commercial on TV about this Trumpy bear. It's a cute little teddy bear, but stuffed inside of it is a blanket made in the replica of the United States flag of America. And you're supposed to get the bear, and then when you get cold, you wrap yourself in it. Now, I would like to know what your opinion is of representing the flag that way. Before you do, I want to tell you the story that my wife told me about this school teacher some time back was showing the flag to her students and telling them how beautiful it was and everything, and said, would you like to have a little piece of this? And they all raised their hand, and she cut up this American flag and given each one a piece.
Yeah.
Now, this is an effort to destroy the emblem of the United States.
Yeah,
what do you think about Trump?
Well, first of all, let's talk about the first subject that you mentioned. And I'm a little bit of an old-fashioned fuddy-duddy that I believe the flag should never be desecrated and not used for commercial purposes. Quite frankly, I don't think I like the idea at all of wrapping up in the American flag. I don't like the idea at all of shirts that are representative and or look exactly like the American flag. I think it's too haphazard and too commonplace, and I think respect should be given to our flag. That's my feeling on that. I'm against it, and I know some people are going to say, well, you're an old fuddy-duddy. Well, I guess that's the way I am.
The thing of it is that the young people are going to really adore this flag. And it's nice and warm, and it's probably a fleece or something like that feels real good on you. And this is just like the old adage of cooking a frog. You put him in warm water and turn the heat up, and he won't jump out.
Well,
That's what's happening to America.
Yeah. Okay, now I got to wrap it up because I got a commercial break, but I'll say this, Keith, and I appreciate and respect your ideas here this morning, that I don't believe in a lot of the teachers knowing, and I'm going to be really cautious about saying this, not all, but some teachers that are in front of the classroom really do not understand themselves, their respect and how it should be treated with our national flag, and I think that they are lacking in an education to portray the right instance and circumstances to our children.
Kudos to you.
All right, buddy. I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Thank you much. Yeah, believe me, I know I'm right on some of this, that there are many teachers fresh out of college, and believe me, with the wrong, let's say, knowledge of respect for our flag, if any, and they're standing up in front of the classrooms and telling our children. And you know it's not in every occasion. I'm not picking at every teacher. Don't everybody say, well, Zeb said all teachers. No, I did not. I said there are some, mostly of the newer ilk, that are going into the classrooms. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Breakfast, dinner, all the time, anytime. Oh, it's good at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and also 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Woo! America's Diner. Great people over there serving you. And, you know, they really, really care. And you talk about great food. I mean, I'm a fan of breakfast. I don't care what time of the day. I love my breakfast. And we go over there for Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and it has been so great at Denny's Restaurant. You're going to love the people. Super nice folks. So don't forget, America's Diner serving you, and that's, of course, Denny's Restaurant. 2 locations, 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. By the way, and this is to the seniors that are living alone, and to the seniors that, you know, when we get older, our balance isn't everything it should be, and you're suspect to injuries and susceptible to various things. And a lot of times as seniors, you don't want to take the time to go make a nice meal for yourself at your home. And, you know, you might say, oh, I'll take my medication and my pills tomorrow. You better make sure that you take care of yourself. And you'd better check into a Pomerel place, a place for senior living. Senior living offers the ability for seniors to maintain their independence, both safely and comfortably. Please call a Pomerel place at 677-8212, located at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. Really, really nice people. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm not going to be hedging around this thing. I think that every one of the Houston Texan players that took a knee yesterday, which was virtually the entire team, in a protest against controversial remarks made by their team's owner, Bob McNair. If I was Bob McNair, I'd say, okay, we're going to sacrifice the rest of the season. I'm going to fire every doggone one of you, crybaby, overpaid, underworked athletes. Hit the door and don't look back. This is so disgusting to me as to what they did. Bob McNair, the owner of the Texans, he made a statement this last week that, quite frankly, I made a similar statement 3 weeks ago. I checked, it was on Tuesday 3 weeks ago, that the football players in the NFL basically are running the NFL. Well, Bob McNair's statement was that the inmates are running the prison. It was an analogy, and he was 1,000% correct. Well, what did his players do? This is insane. His players yesterday took a knee, almost all of them. I've got a picture of them. They're in this picture. I only see about 3 white guys that are standing. The rest are all kneeling. This is in protest to the guy that signs their checks. I mean, you've got to question whether some of these guys had the right-sized helmet on and whether it fit good, and they didn't all have concussions. They are protesting the man that is paying their bills with these huge contracts. And then the owner did something that I thought was not acceptable. He apologized. He apologized twice. And personally, I want to hear from you folks, but I think this situation with apologizing now by the owner is only going to exacerbate the problem even further. I don't care if they're upset. They're the employees, and they were acting in an irresponsible manner by kneeling in the first place. And then when he said that the inmates are running the prison in reference to the NFL players, basically running the NFL and telling everybody what they are or not going to do, and then if he apologizes, it just absolutely creates more of a problem. I personally think he should have remained firm and said, I pay the bills, it's my team, it's a private business, you play for me, you do things the way I want, or you're out of here. This is not going to go away soon. And I was reading some other notes on this story. And Colin Kaepernick, what an absolute ridiculous human being. I never did like the kid. I thought he was just absolutely just a very cocky, self-centered individual. I did some research, and I found out that Colin Kaepernick, that said he was standing up for the oppressed and standing up against the police that were oppressing black people. You know, that slob, and that's what I'm going to call him this morning, never even registered or has never, ever registered to vote. Yeah. Great American, Colin Kaepernick. Oh, yeah, starts all this firestorm. And the guy has never even registered to vote. Give me your thoughts on this. Has gone far enough. I have not and will not watch an NFL game. A lot of people are saying, well, big deal, Zeb. No, but it's en masse. They're losing a ton of money. They're losing a lot of money. And I know that we talked about this gentleman a couple of weeks ago, Eric Nickershire from Buffalo, New York. He worked at the stadium as a Buffalo Bills employee. And when he saw the Buffalo Bills kneeling on the stadium floor during the national anthem, he waited until the national anthem was over, and then he took off his stadium shirt, threw his Buffalo Bills hat on the ground, and walked out and said, that song is about our country. Our veterans that fight and die for us. It's just something I feel you shouldn't disrespect in that way. Another Marine Corps veteran posted a video in the last couple of weeks, and he said a lot of people fought and died for that flag, and to be disrespected like it has been, I'm done. I'm done with the NFL. Your thoughts, give me a call. But I want to say something. I'll do this commercial first, and then we'll come back. I'm really upset about this because it's been elongated into a problem that if all the owners would have got together and just said, enough, boys, act like men, show respect to our flag, or get off the field and don't play for us. That's what I wished would have happened. Right now, I want to talk about Dino's Septic Service. I tell you what, they do a job that you and I, our neighbors, nobody wants to do, but they do it extremely well. And they absolutely are available to help you. All you need to do is get a hold of them today. Telephone numbers in Rupert, 436-6526. Or in Burley, 678-1638. Septic tanks pumped, ooh. And then septic tanks and drain fields installed, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, ooh, and they'll bring in that big truck, and it says, smells cargo on the way. These are really good people, Fast, fair, friendly service serving you. Dino's Septic Service in Rupert. You get a hold of them today. I mean, they're good folks. It's political season, and we've got a couple of folks that we want to highlight right now. First of all, we have John Anderson running for the city council. That's right, for the Burley City Council. And John's main goal is to keep Burley a great place to live and raise a family. He was the Burley mayor for 8 years, and he's very concerned about the city and the infrastructure and about the citizens, and he wants your vote on November 7th. Don't forget, John Anderson running for a 4-year term on the Burley City Council, and this is paid for by John Anderson for Burley City Council. Also want to remind you, hold on, caller, I'm a-comin'. Steve Ormond is running for the mayor of Burley. That's right, he and his family have been residents of Burley for over 30 years. He's a very experienced leader, manager, and commercial loan officer in the banking industry, and he's an active member of the Burley Lions Club and has been for over 30 years. He wants to serve you as mayor of Burley. Remember, Steve Ormond for mayor of Burley, paid for by Steve Ormond for mayor. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. How are you?
Finer than a frog here, sir. Yourself?
Really good. May I continue the point of that last story, and then we'll go into what you wanted to talk about this morning, and you can add to this story. I want to say this. I watched with great interest the other evening the opening of the baseball game between the Astros and the Dodgers. And my wife and I both looked at each other and commented the difference in quality, and I'm going to use that word, quality of personality in the sports world. I watched, and it almost brought tears to my eyes, that many of the Dodgers, many of the Astros, not only were all of them standing, but many of them were singing the words to our national anthem.
Yes. That makes you proud when you see these people that are so gifted to entertain us like they do, proud of where they come from, proud of their country.
Well, and not only that, but you know what? They're making buku dollars. You know that. I mean, they're making money. I know their careers are short in most instances, including and especially NFL football. Injuries really are susceptible. But what I see when somebody's raking down $1 million a game, I find it hard to believe that they would stand there or kneel there in criticism of the owner that's signing the checks.
Exactly. Yeah, and my comment is now the NFL has basically signed their death warrant, in my book. You give it 5 years from now, there's not going to be multi-million-dollar contracts because they're not going to have the fan base to pay for those multi-million-dollar contracts.
Or the big sponsorships.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. These guys have the IQ of a box of rocks when it comes to business.
I mean, it's obvious, my dear friend Doug. I mean, why in the world, if you're going to have an effort of kneeling during the national anthem or sitting during the national anthem and you really don't have anything that's concrete as far as handing to the press your viewpoints on certain subjects as to why you're trying to disrespect the flag, I mean, a person like myself, I'm going to blast them. I will not watch an NFL game. I will not carry any NFL activities leading up to the Super Bowl like we usually do on this program. I'm done with these guys. If the NBA acts in such an absolutely juvenile, stupid manner, I will say the same about them. But in the regards of Major League Baseball, what I saw, I was absolutely impressed.
Yes. Yes, that's very true. But I can't understand why someone who has a business, and you are a product of that business, allowing them to damage your product to take money out of your pocket.
That's a very good point. They're damaging the product. You're right.
That when I have my business here, I hired a high school kid. Oh, I've hired about 3 of them, but this one I hired, good kid. He turned out to be a fine young man. But he come to work, and he had holes in his jeans the first day he come to work, and I looked at him, and I says, is that the best pair of pants you got? No. I said, well, don't wear them again. I says, here, you're representing my company.
Yep.
I want you to dress with pants without holes in them.
Yeah.
And my dad had a perfect analogy. He come in later that day and seen him, and I introduced him to him, and my dad looked at him. He says, you been praying a lot, son?
I love it. You know, I don't know why they think it's stylishly acceptable, and a lot of these so-called singing stars wear rags up on the stage and everything, and I find that repulsive. But you're right. People that have worked for me in the past, they wear what I tell them to wear that's acceptable for my business, or they don't work for me.
That's me too. Me too, because when customers come in and they see your employees, what's the first thing? That's their first impression.
Absolutely.
Of you.
Absolutely.
The first impression of the business. So when we turn on a football game and we see these crybabies sitting and disrespecting our military, disrespecting our flag, disrespecting our country,
Yep.
they've lost my business.
Absolutely.
I haven't watched the game all year.
I haven't either. I did at first, but now I'm done with them. I'm toast. Hey, listen, I got to give away some cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. I got to run. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll call you back.
All right, buddy.
I wanted to comment on something else.
All right, do that. Thank you. Hey, don't forget our dear friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Yes, I want to talk about Berry Equipment and Rental real fast. They've got all the Bobcats. Yes, they've got all the Bobcats for you in different shapes, sizes, and forms, and they've got new and used ones. They've got all the equipment rentals. They've got all the retail equipment sales, and they got a special deal on the Bobcats, negative interest on all Bobcats, meaning the interest on a machine is subtracted from the price. Berry Equipment and Rental, South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and, oh boy, the big one, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, with Juan and the crew, a great big sandbox out behind to teach you how to run the equipment. They are good. Really nice people at Berry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and Burley. Going to give away some cookies right now. Yes, I am. And I'm going to ask you a little tougher question today. First person to call the right answer is going to win a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. Great restaurant, fantastic bakery. Oh, my. All the cookies, pies, everything. It's delicious. And this is a Halloween question. Now, put your thinking caps on and call me at 436-2244. The tradition of making jack-o'-lanterns to ward off evil spirits is thousands of years old. But they didn't use pumpkins at first. What other vegetable were the jack-o'-lanterns originally made out of? Ooh. If you can come up with this answer, you are absolutely sharp. I didn't know. Deanne asked me that question earlier this morning, and I go, huh? The tradition of making jack-o'-lanterns to ward off evil spirits is thousands of years old. Which vegetable were they originally made out of before pumpkins became accepted? Come on, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I see a lot of people scratching their head and going, what do you mean? What vegetable were they made out of? I don't know. Well, give me a call, 436-2244. And again, our thanks to Sophie's for sponsoring the dozen cookies in the giveaway this morning. And if you win, all you have to do is call over and tell them when you'll be there to pick up your cookies. While I'm waiting for the call, come on now, I know that's a little bit of a brain teaser, and I can see a lot of people run into their computers to see, before pumpkins, what vegetable were jack-o'-lanterns made out of. I had no clue. And Deanne came up and told me the answer. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning. Is it acorn squash?
No. I would love to give it to you because that's a good answer, but it's not the one that was on the sheet. Thank you so much for the try.
Thank you.
All right, sir. The tradition of making jack-o'-lanterns to ward off the evil spirits, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo, thousands of years old. Which vegetable? That's kind of a key right there. Which vegetable were they originally made out of? That gentleman, doggone close. Doggone close. Real close. That's doggone close. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting, excuse me, for your call, caller, good morning. You're on the air. What's the answer, please?
Turnip?
Who is this?
Jason?
Jason, that doesn't help me at all. What's your name?
Jason Music?
Spell that last name for me.
M-U-S-I-C-K.
All right, now I'm going to ask you this. M-U-S-I-C-K. Got it. How did you know?
I Googled it.
You know what, Jason? I respect you for doing that because, man, I had no clue until Deanne told me turnips is the right answer. You won the dozen cookies. Call over there to Sophie's and tell them when you're going to be in to pick them up, okay?
Okay, thanks.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. Jason Music, and he is the winner. Turnips. I had no clue. None. Nada. But that is the right answer. Deanne, take that over there, would you? And hold on to that one, man. I had no clue that's the case. Hey, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox teaming up to save you money on Lennox home comfort systems. All you have to do is call them at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459, and you may get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox home comfort system. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. Okay, enough of the spoiled, rotten athletes. Did you hear? This story infuriated me so bad when I heard this morning, that a church in Virginia is the church where George Washington, over 200 years ago, used to go to and worship. Well, the church, for many, many, many years, has had a plaque on the door stating that America's first president, George Washington, used to worship here. A couple of do-gooders, and I use that term loosely, have decided that that is offensive to have a plaque saying George Washington worshipped here, and they're demanding that the plaque be taken down and never used again and never acknowledged that George Washington worshipped and went to church there. Some of these loony liberals say the plaque must go because it offends them, and a couple of these loony libs said, oh no, we can't ever go to church again because George Washington had slaves, and we just can't do this. Isn't this sick and pathetic? Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning again. Yeah, if you erase history, then that means it's never happened, so you don't have to worry about it, right?
Oh, my gosh. I'm telling you, I honestly think that the left needs to take a couple of aspirin, lay down, go to sleep, and hopefully they'll wake up and figure out that they've been nut jobs all their lives.
Well, they need to get out of their safe spaces, put on their big boy panties or big girl panties, and grow up.
You haven't heard the worst story that I've got yet this morning that I'm saving for a couple of minutes because I'm afraid some of my verbiage is going to go off the rails.
Well, one question I've had over the weekend, and I have yet to hear it answered anywhere, is this sale of uranium to Russia. They're talking about all the money that has been divvied to the Clinton foundations, and all these people have got this kickbacks and stuff, and all this money given to them, but nobody has ever mentioned how much Russia paid for that uranium.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about buku dollars and everything else, and then along with not knowing what the amounts are and what the American taxpayers are not going to get for their own personal assets in this country, there's so much bribery money and so many under-the-table deals. I mean, if Mueller's investigatory commission can't look at this and say, my goodness, the Obama administration, Obama himself was involved, Secretary of State Hillary. I mean, I don't think there's a prison big enough in this country to lock up all these damn Democrats.
Exactly. And Mueller has his fingers in it, too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I am very sure. I have yet to figure out or hear how much they paid for it. And I would like an answer. And I'd like to know where that money went that the Russians paid for the uranium.
Well, there's something else, too, and it's starting to leak out underneath the carpet, that the Obama administration and Obama himself allegedly said, okay, we'll give you $1 million, you being Fusion GPS. But they channeled the money through about 3 or 4 different outfits before it finally ended up with Fusion GPS as a hit campaign with fake information about Donald Trump. And that's straight, they say, from the Oval Office of the Obama administration. And
I wouldn't doubt that one bit.
Doug, the filthiness of what's going on in politics, honestly, there isn't a broom and a dustpan big enough.
Nope. Trump needs to keep a draining on that swamp. He's a-trying, but he's got a lot of swamp creatures around there desperately trying to save their job.
I couldn't agree more.
And Rush Limbaugh said it best. He says, if you can have an outsider come in and fix all the problems they've been saying it's wrong and they haven't been able to fix for the last 30 years, and he can come in and fix it, they don't want that. The establishment and the Democrats do not want somebody from the outside coming in fixing stuff. That's why everybody is so against Trump.
I tell you something, every day I get out of bed, I tell Deanne, I said, wow, I wonder what kind of insanity is going to be thrown at us today.
You know, and I have a lot of respect for that man, because President Trump has taken so much, and his family has been degraded so much, and it's all false, and he's still proud, stands up, and fights for America.
Absolutely. Doug, got to run and do a weather forecast, and then I'm going to finish it up with a story about white racism you're not going to believe. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, buddy.
Everybody, let's take care of our senior centers.
Absolutely. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. All right. I want to remind you, too, that Mr. Ralph Carlson is running as a candidate for the Burley City Council. He was born in the Burley area, and I tell you what, he would really appreciate to have your vote on November 7th. He's got a bachelor's degree in public administration and has worked as an engineer, and his academic background has provided him with an understanding of how business works, and he wants to serve the city of Burley. He is asking for your vote on November 7th. Ralph Carlson, running for Burley City Council, paid for by Ralph Carlson for City Council, Ralph Carlson Treasurer. Thank you very much. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. My goodness sakes, Dr. Christine Pickup. Oh, the doctor of audiology. And they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. The number to call, 312-0957. And they also are welcoming Katie Bingham. Hello, Katie, to Mount Harrison Audiology. She is the new patient care coordinator. Right now, here's the weather.
You might want to hold on to your hats today, because it's going to be a windy one. Here is your weather for Zev at the Ranch. We are in a wind advisory for today, especially up through the noon hour. Gusts possible out of the northeast, right around 40 miles an hour. Other than that, looking at sunny skies, high of 50, tonight low of 26. Tomorrow, winds dying down, still going to be sunny, high of 54, overnight low of 36 for Halloween proper. And then for Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 63, overnight low of 37. As we look towards Thursday, slight chance of rain showers are going to be in the forecast. That is your weather for Zev at the Ranch.
Woo! Woo! It did change a little bit out there this morning, didn't it? Oh, after a fantastic weekend. Oh, my goodness, that was pretty. That's your weather. Thank you, Gina. Brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with Dr. Christine Pickup. And they're right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. Number to call, 312-0957. Also want to remind you that Mr. Bryce Morgan is running for the Burley City Council, and he knows that we've got big challenges of growth and success to this area, and he wants to be a part of it and help manage that growth. He graduated from Burley High School, and he has a master's degree in business administration and a bachelor's degree in accounting, and he's worked the last 14 years in the transportation industry. He's a fiscal conservative that wants your vote for the Burley City Council. Mr. Bryce Morgan, paid for by Bryce Morgan for City Council. All right, ladies and gentlemen, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. This story is unbelievable. A music festival in Halifax, Canada, has apologized for overt racism following a volunteer staffer's refusal to move to the back of the concert because the staffer is white. Let that soak in for a minute. The Canadian Music Festival has issued an apology for one of their white staffers when asked by the entertainer to move to the back and make room for people of color to come to the front. Here's what happened. According to the National Post, performer Lido Pimenetta, who has won the 2017 Polaris Prize, frequently asks, now listen closely to this, all white members of her audience to move to the back and give up their seats to non-white audience members. They must do so regardless of whether they pay more for their seating or not. I am outraged. These folks that bought tickets for her concerts, they're sitting there in what you might say are the prime money seats. And this person, Lido Pimenetta, tells them, get up out of those seats and move to the back or the show will not continue. Overt racism in reverse. And what happened was, the people that were putting on this concert, they apologized for the whites not going to the back. As a matter of fact, the board promised to improve anti-oppression and anti-racism training for their staff next year, essentially asking them to give in to the demands of people who supposedly face more oppression than they do. I can't believe this. I just honestly, when I read this, Deanna and I pulled this story off of there. One of their quotes was, "We are sorry that one of our volunteers interrupted your act, your show, and your audience by being aggressive and racist." And this entertainer absolutely went into a tirade and demanded, move to the back. Move to the back. And all the whites gave up their seating, their location, and capitulated and moved to the back. Caller, you better come in and help me on this one because I'm about ready to blow a gasket on this story.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
Oh, very good. Well, why did those people get up and walk directly to the ticket master and say, "Give me my money back"?
They should have, but you know what? I wouldn't have moved. Maybe you would have. I wouldn't have moved. Absolutely. If I bought a ticket and I was doing nothing wrong and I was sitting in that seat, I would not get up and move for anybody.
Well, this is the problem. I understand that, but the point to be made is, well, if I'm not good enough for you, then I don't need to listen to you.
Well, I agree with your point, but what I'm saying is, first of all, if you bought a ticket, I don't care if it's to a concert, country music concert or whatever, and you paid for that seat, and then somebody on the stage, the entertainer says, I'm sorry, sir, you're white, and we want you to move to the back so we can have somebody of color come up and take your seat. A, I'm not moving. B, if I am moved forcibly, I'm going to sue everybody to the point where they're going to wish they'd never had scheduled a concert. It's got to stop. There's a line in the sand that has to be drawn because now white racism, anti-white racism, is becoming dominant in the north part of our hemisphere.
Okay, well, this is my opinion on racism, and that is that whenever you have a person that...
Talk into your phone, sir. I can't hear you. Talk directly into your phone.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, hold that phone still.
Okay. Whenever you got a person that is spewing this kind of stupidity, you've got to really look at that person. That person, in my book, is a slacker. They're using their epitome, their pigmentation, their color, to whine and do nothing.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. The entertainer, quote unquote, if you want to call Lido Pimenetta the entertainer, I find her to be disgusting. She actually said, brown girls to the front. And when the white person the volunteer refused to go to the back, they had the white person forcibly removed. This is insane.
I just shut it down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nonsense.
I agree with you.
That's like the people putting the knee to the ground. You got to look at these people that put the knee to the ground. These people were put into football by mostly scholarships that are paid by us, and because they haven't got enough brains to do the whole class and do it upright, they get little special deals, and then when they get special deals, then they go out there and do this kind of deal.
I agree. Sir, I appreciate your call. It's good to hear from you again, and thank you very much for taking the time to call in this morning. Thank you.
Yep.
Good man right there. Hey, but this is racism in reverse now, and it's overt racism. And this entertainer saying that be responsible for your friends, and when I tell you to do something, do it. Move to the back. Oh, my goodness. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Oh, my goodness. Aches and pains, strains and sprains, everything they can help you with. They've got the greatest physical therapists over there serving you, led by Nick Greenwell. I'm telling you, all the exercises, the hydrotherapy pool, they can and will help you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, 678-1191. Caller, I got 1 minute. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, about this bus incident you were talking about, Zeb. These people got up and moved to the back of the bus?
No. I'm not talking about a bus incident. I'm talking about a concert up in Canada. The entertainer told the white people to move to the back of the concert.
Oh, okay. Well, the people that move back there are called lemmings because one person starts doing it and the rest of them just follow, just like the lemmings do over the cliff. That's my opinion on it.
Well, Keith, I agree with you, but I would not have got up. I mean, forcibly, physically, they would have had to carry me out because if I've paid for a seat, I'm staying there. That's my seat. If I haven't done anything to say anything, do anything disruptive, they're not moving me and putting anybody else in that seat except me because I paid for it.
Well, you were there first. You paid for the ticket and everything else. You have every right to tell them to go hit the road.
or words similar to that effect. God bless you, Keith.
Yeah, you might have a little to that.
A little cowboy color. Thanks, Keith. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, don't forget Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a big, that means really big fall tire sale. We're doing the right thing matters always at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Yeah, look outside. Yep, it's fall. The leaves are coming down. What a mess. And, of course, you know that old man Winter's going to be running his ugly head here before too long. All the tires you need for safe fall and winter driving. Right there at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Oh, yeah, it's going to get chillier in the morning. Make sure you've got a good battery. All of this and more with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Man, this first hour really flew on by. Good morning to everybody. Have a great day, and we're going to head for the news right now from CBS. Old Wheels going to take us up there with a little music. Wheels, take it away. Oh, good morning on a Monday, kind of a blustery day out there. A little bit of change in the weather for the next couple of days. And good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a great big fall tire sale right now. And also some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho,
You know, trust. I trust that they're going to be there almost every week. They are here right on time. My garbage is picked up. It's gone. Western Waste Services, I mean, the service to you is absolutely phenomenal. These are really good people that care about how they treat you, getting rid of your garbage, and whether you need even portable storage units like the Go Minis. I mean, these are absolutely phenomenal. Store on your property or have them stored on their property. Western Waste Service really cares. They're always at your disposal. You call them today, 734-6969. Don't forget, too, our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with the home comfort systems. Oh, my goodness, you can get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox home comfort system. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Be comfy with Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. Real quick, I also want to acknowledge just really some nice people. They care about you and your family and are always there. They're there in the time of a very, very trying time in your lives when there's the passing of a loved one. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff. Always serving you with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Let them help. They can, and they will. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. It's Monday. And I am absolutely looking forward to this gentleman's remarks. He wrote an outstanding piece that I have right in front of me called America Crossing a Cultural Rubicon into Multicultural Conflict. I could not agree more. I put an exclamation point by that. Frosty Woldridge, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. It's always a pleasure to be with you, sir. And boy, I think that latest column is really packed with what's coming and what you and I have been discussing for the last 15 years. And again, I urge everyone to go to numbersusa.org and download Immigration Gumballs and Poverty, a 5-minute video. And then after that, download the Immigration Off the Charts. It's a 10-minute video. And send it to all of your networks because, folks, we're about to add 100 million immigrants to this country from 196 different countries with 196 different worldviews and religions and cultures and literally a multicultural conflict that's going to be consuming our country further than it is right now. So I really encourage everyone to spread the word because once somebody sees that 5-minute video and then the 10-minute video, this country would be screaming to stop all immigration into America literally overnight. It would be a front-page news that the American people said is enough is enough. We need to stop all immigration in order to save our country for our citizens and not everybody else's citizens from around the world.
Yeah,
so,
right there.
Thank you so much, Zeb.
No. What you just said right there. Boy, you have touched on it, and I don't give a rip about these loony liberals. Wheels, we're getting a little feedback on the line this morning, please. But, we're always so interested in helping others, and, we've got to do this for them, and we've got to do this for them. What about the American taxpayer? What about Frosty Woolridge? What about Zeb Bell? What about our families? What about our relationships? I mean, we are to take the back seat in the bus and let everybody else go first class? Are you kidding me?
Well, this writer was right off of Facebook. His name is Fritz Garcia. He said it, and I'm quoting here. Demographically, the U.S. has crossed the Rubicon toward a balkanized aggregation of numerous cultures of varying incompatibilities. Mexico's castizo elite benefit by sending the dregs of their population north of the border as a soft form of ethnic cleansing in the Southwest via the Aztlan movement. Canada, which has become a tenuous linguistic arrangement between English and French, is adding a third wheel to the cultural blender with a huge influx of mainland Chinese that it could possibly make a Mandarin the third official language, unquote. That should say it all for everybody. And you know me. I described it from this summer's travels. I traveled to Vancouver, B.C. The Chinese have run the Canadians out of Vancouver. It's no longer a Canadian city. The signage is in Chinese. The people are Chinese in the majority, and they're chain migrating more Chinese because of, China is just a horrifically overpopulated country of 1.35 billion people, and so they're all making a beachhead there, and they've got so doggone much money that they've made off the United States that they're just buying the entire of Vancouver, British Columbia area up into Chinese. And then if you start looking at what's happening in Ottawa or Montreal, the Muslims are using their oil money to literally make inroads to create complete Sharia-compliant societies right there. Well, the same thing's happening here in Dearborn, Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, Minneapolis, and certainly in Southern California, like Fremont, California, is all Muslim now, and the same thing down in Miami. So we are becoming the doormat of the world, and we need to stop it, Zeb, or we're just not going to survive in our own country.
Well, and there's a paragraph in your writing that when I read it, I got to tell you, I threw your paper across the room. I was so furious, and I'm going to read that for everybody. It was a statement by Dr. Stephen Camarata. He said, quote, "My research shows that Americans are becoming the new minority in their own country. They will be outnumbered by 2042, that's only 25 years, as the Spanish become the new majority at 51%. Frosty, we are going to be looking at a cultural fragmentation, a cultural upheaval. Nothing in this country will be the same, and I'm afraid we're not going to be able to pay for it and sustain it."
Well, that's correct. And please understand this. The Muslim conquest of any country is based on feeding off that country. And you look at all of the Somalians there in Minneapolis, you look at all of the Middle Eastern Muslims in Detroit, they're all on welfare. I mean, they're all on welfare. Same thing in Canada. They're all on welfare. You look at all of UK, look at Germany. They're on welfare. I mean, virtually all of them are on welfare because that's what they do. Sweden is going broke. Norway's going broke because they're all on welfare. They don't bring anything or skills of any kind to the host country, and then they start to take it down piecemeal and move it towards Sharia law. Well, if you look at La Raza in the Southwest right now, Southern California, it has now been voted into a sanctuary state. How do you think a state like California can be absolutely anarchic? I mean, it's an anarchy. To vote in California, as Jerry Brown has, to become a sanctuary state means they have declared that they are above the law of the land and that they can create their own laws to subvert the U.S. Constitution, and that's exactly what's happened. You bring in another 100 million of these immigrants, you're going to see the same consequences grow exponentially in this country, Zeb.
But wait a minute, stop right there. Because you know as well as I do, right this very minute, there are the left-leaning Democrats and millennials that are listening to Frosty and Zeb, and they're going, oh, why, those bigoted white people, how dare they? They've got everything. They've got a great home. They've got great lives. They had great education. And now they're trying to stop others from coming into this country. That's what they're going to call us as bigots and hate mongers, Frosty.
Well, again, as I've said many times, and I'll stand on this, my life is that of integrity, and I respect all races, all ethnic groups, all colors, all languages, all people on the earth, because every single one of them and all of us deserve the right to have a decent life. The fact remains, however, is that the third world is adding 80 million new babies net gain every year. They're adding 1 billion every 12 years, and they're about to add 3 billion more of themselves by 2050, which is only 33 years from now. So there is no end to the line. Exponential growth cannot be sustained. So they're not helping themselves. They're not helping themselves by practicing birth control. They're not helping themselves by being responsible. And so they're using the United States as an exhaust vent for their excess humanity. Well, at some point, there is no possibility to sustain all of these people. And as Roy Beck says in his video, they have to live where they're planted. They have to live where they're born. It has nothing to do with racism or nativism or xenophobia or any of that. It has to do with sheer numbers and sustainability. It was Garrett Hardin that talked about the tragedy of the commons. We're all a part of the commons, but the commons cannot be overrun or there's no one's going to survive it.
That's right.
And in fact, Garrett Hardin said this, and I'm quoting, "Diversity within a nation destroys unity and leads to civil wars," he said. "Immigration, a benefit during the youth of a nation, can act as a disease in its mature state. Too much internal diversity in large nations has led to violence and disintegration. We are now in the process of destabilizing the United States of America. The magic words of the destabilizers are diversity and multiculturalism." Unquote. Now, the fact is, you're looking at this stuff going on over the country right now, whether it's Antifa or La Raza or the Muslim Brotherhood or Black Lives Matter, Azatlan or CARE or other violent multicultural groups that are operating in America.
Yeah.
They're only going to get bigger as we continue this onslaught of our country. And so, again, there's a sociological impact that's going to be chaotic, and then just the sheer numbers that are going to be overwhelming, and none of us will be safe. And in fact, all of these people, and all of us included, will be in this conflict in our communities and throughout the society, especially as water is reduced to such a degree that we don't have enough of it. Certainly energy exhausts itself in this country, and then, of course, the resources that run this country. So none of that has anything to do with racism or bigot. I bring the numbers and I bring the facts, and as a math science teacher, there's no racism when it comes to numbers. Numbers are numbers, and either you deal with it or you become a victim of it.
You had one sentence in this story that stood out, I think, above everything else, and I compliment you on this. You said, quote, America cannot become the charity ward for the world's desperate people.
And that's correct, because if they don't help themselves in their own countries by taking responsibility for their fecundity rates, then they have to be responsible on their own terms.
That's right.
We cannot be responsible for everybody's problems in the world because they created their problems in their own countries. They either solve them or they become the victims of them. There is no reason for Canada or America or Australia or New Zealand or any other, Europe, any other countries that have become very responsible. And by that I mean this. In 1970, Western countries literally became responsible for their birth rates, and the average for every woman in all of these Western countries has been 2 children or less per family since 1970. So these countries and these arenas became responsible, but the rest did not. China did not. India did not. Africa has not. Indochina has not. And that's where you're getting these massive numbers that are simply unsustainable. And again, we cannot continue to be the exhaust vent for all these people that were not responsible for their own society.
Well, let me ask you this. You know, in your story, you mentioned Antifa and La Raza, the Muslim Brotherhood, Black Lives Matter, CARE, many other groups that absolutely are doing nothing but preaching insurrection and violence. This last weekend in Tennessee, there was a White Lives Matter march, and some of the people, including the Baptist leader of the Baptist church back in that area, Randy Davis, said, this bigotry has no place in our American society. Why is it bigotry when we try to promote possibly something for Caucasians and White Lives Matter, but it's okay for the total insurrection and destruction of neighborhoods by Antifa and the Muslim Brotherhood and Black Lives Matter? What's going on here?
Well, again, if you look at what's happening across the country, whether it's somebody like that Frederica Wilson or John Cummings, and Frederica Wilson, the dingbat from Florida, and you look at John Cummings from Georgia, and you look at Maxine Waters from California, they've done nothing for the people of color in this country. I mean, nothing. They've not one bill among them to further, but they're also part of the Black Caucus. And then you've got the Blackness USA. You've got BET, which is Black Entertainment Television. You've got Blackish, which is a TV about blacks on television nationally that doesn't get any kind of consequential feedback because it is racist. You've got CARE, which is promoting all of Sharia law. You've got the Muslim Brotherhood. You've got all of these kinds of multicultural organizations. Aztlan, of course, and La Raza is the race and nothing but the race, which is the Mexican race, or if you want to call it a race, it's Latinos. They are out for dominance. They are out to manifest themselves, and yet because of the incredible U.S. Constitution that allows free speech, they get to operate. But because Caucasian and European Americans have been the dominant culture, essentially 90% way back in 1965, now down to 54%, and soon to be completely in the minority. Essentially, we've created cultural suicide in this country by literally becoming a doormat for the rest of the world that has not been responsible for itself. And you see the disparity here. And I don't care if they are part of Antifa or they're part of all of these other, we got to stop all of this prejudice and so forth. Every one of us is going to be embroiled in this kind of anarchy if it's allowed to continue. And again, that's why I say we have got to stop mass immigration into the country, completely shut it down, or we're not going to survive this thing no matter where we are in this country.
You know, Frosty, I'm almost out of time, but I want you to comment on this. The Democrats and the left, they seem hell-bent on opening up the floodgates and letting anybody and everybody in here. And you know the reason why. They just want to keep on buying future elections with the masses going in to support the Democratic Party. This is absolutely only sick politics in action.
Well, it certainly is, and there's no question. The Democrats are socialists. That's the basic tenet of Democrats. Republicans are just take care of responsibility towards yourself and take care of accountability towards yourself. Do you think any of those Muslims coming in here are taking accountability for themselves? Of course they're not. They're on welfare.
That's right.
Do you think they even have an ability? Does any Somalian that comes into this country with absolutely no education, with absolutely no cultural affinity toward America, with absolutely no ability to function other than a cabbie and or a janitor, can we continue to bring all these people in? Because, yes, the receivers are definitely voting for the Democrats. And that's why we have, according to Roy Beck at numbersusa.org, $296 billion a year gets given out to all these immigrants across 15 federal agencies. Folks, you and I are paying for this. And I can't say it enough. You and I are paying for this. What happens when another 100 million immigrants come into this country that have no ability to function in a first world country, and especially because robotics are now starting to take over all of the farming in this country, and picking the tomatoes and picking the potatoes and picking the cucumbers and picking all the radish and picking all the celery. That's all being done by machinery. What do we do with all these people? Well, what they're doing is they're joining all of these subversive groups to get their piece of the action to just revolt against the American way of life and the American people. I mean, Zeb, am I wrong on this, or do you?
No.
I mean, anybody that looks out over the news every night, you see what's happening, and that's why I say, if we don't stop mass immigration into this country, we're not going to survive it. We're besides becoming the European Americans are going to become the minority. Who's going to be fixing the plumbing, and who fixes the electrical when you've got so many people that are literally illiterate and living on food stamps and Section 8 housing? You can see that at $20 trillion in debt, what happens when we get to be $30 trillion in debt? Of course, everything starts to collapse and nothing works. And none of us are going to be having a very good time when all of this comes upon our head.
Well, real quick before I have to go, I've got less than a minute and a half left, but I just wanted you to comment. You have said for a long time, and I've given you a lot of kudos on this program for sticking your neck out and being so honest. You said 100 million people coming into this country, and we just can't absorb it. Even some of the experts now in supposedly population centers are worried because they're using your number of 100 million that we can't support.
Well, that's correct, and that number is backed up by the Pew Research Center. It's backed up by the U.S. Census Bureau. It's backed up by the U.S. population projections by Fogel Martin. You can just go to fair.org, go to research, pewresearchcenter.org. The numbers are there. I'm not pulling them out of the air. These are the numbers that are going to land on this country. The total population load by 2050, 33 years from now, will be a total of 139 million more people. It is not sustainable. Exponential growth is the same modus operandi of a cancer cell. It keeps growing until it kills the host. If we allow another 139 million more people added to America, and 100 million of them will be immigrants, guaranteed fact. I mean, I could break it down for you next week and tell you exactly how it's coming and how it's here. We're already 30 million into that number, so we're well into it since we hit 300 million back in 2006. No one gets out of this thing with any kind of sustainability. I'm talking about irreversible and unsolvable water shortages, energy shortages, and resource shortages that simply will not be solved. That's how bad this thing is, and you better believe it. I should be on 60 Minutes. I should be on NPR. I should be on PBS because I'm one of the few people that knows the numbers. They are absolutely factually backed up and supported, and that there's no way to escape them, and that either we do something about it, Zeb, and you and I are, or we become the victims of this massive population loading created by mass immigration.
I agree. Totally agree. Frosty, I'm way out of time. God bless you, man. Talk to you next Monday. Thank you very much for an excellent article. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. Godspeed, my friend.
Thank you. Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado. Spot on. Absolutely. Hey, let's not forget Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Taking care of your animals. Whether it's a little bitty kitty cat or a whole bunch of rope and steers, they can and will help you. It's a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they love them all. Ark Animal Hospital, 678-1177. Dr. Bill and the whole crew, they really will serve you and your livestock to keep them healthy. Don't forget they do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn. Hey, by the way, I know where you can save a whole bunch of money, and that's at the big harvest sale going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. No money down, no interest, up to 15 months on approved credit, 40% off. Furniture, mattresses, dining room sets, motion furniture, bedroom groups. Oh, my goodness. And what a great, great display of recliners. You got to get in there, try one on. Some are for tall people, short people, skinny people, and the rest of us. They've got them all for you right there with Jeff and the rest of the crew at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see these really, really good people today. By the way, too, want to remind you, a good man is running for the Burley City Council for a 4-year seat, and that's John Anderson, the former mayor of Burley for 8 years. John's main goal is to keep Burley a great place to live, grow, and raise a family. John Anderson. And we also want to mention he's very concerned about city infrastructure, very concerned about changing and the way things are changing and growing and about what's being charged to the citizens. He wants to make sure that stays at a very fair rate. John would appreciate your vote for a 4-year council seat on the Burley City Council on November 7th. John Anderson running for City Council, paid for by John Anderson for Burley City Council. And we're about ready to go to our next guest, but I'm running a little bit behind here this morning. So, Jonathan, if you're listening on the feed line, I'll be right there. Don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Absolutely. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more. Todd and the crew over there, they really, really take care of you. They're dedicated and responsive to your needs. All you need to do is take the initiative to call for an appointment today. 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, and another great business over there on Highway 24. That happens to be Let's Ride. Oh, baby, where the fun is sold. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. They've got all the new snowmobiles there. The 2018 models, get up in there, high elevations, ride with the angel dandruff up there in the snow with great snowmobiles from Let's Ride. All the four-wheelers, side-by-sides, everything, all the accessories, and a super service department to keep you running. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Yes, it's true, where the fun is sold. Whew. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we have with us an attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation, and that is Mr. Jonathan Wood. Jonathan, good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
No, it's our pleasure to have you on the air. You're very articulate and always interesting. And what's going on here with a smoking gun email from the Department of Justice that shows that maybe groups like yours, the Pacific Legal Foundation, you weren't going to get Best Favored Citizen Award on behalf of these folks? Tell us the whole story.
So last week we learned that during the Obama administration, attorneys from the Department of Justice were steering money obtained from settlement agreements dealing with the mortgage frauds against the big banks. They were steering money away from the victims of the mortgage fraud and the United States Treasury and towards special interest groups that they favored. This has been controversial for a while, but there wasn't proof that the attorneys were actually steering it towards favored groups. We knew that they were steering money towards someone, but they claimed, and actually testified in Congress, that they never actually picked and chose which groups got it. But last week, Congress, at the end of an investigation, discovered an email between two DOJ attorneys that specifically said that a settlement should be rewritten to ensure that groups like Pacific Legal Foundation, which defend constitutional property rights on behalf of property owners, could not receive any of the funds. And this really was the evidence that we've been waiting for to show that government lawyers like this should absolutely not have the ability to steer the government's money away from the government and towards special interest groups, because inevitably they will do so in a discriminatory manner.
Jonathan, that being said and that being known, now is there a recourse or some kind of punishment to these people for what they were trying to do?
So the attorneys, I believe, have all already left the office, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing that can be done. The Department of Justice under Jeff Sessions has already adopted a policy to forbid these sort of settlements in the future, and Congress is considering legislation to make it impossible. But ultimately, none of that should be necessary because the Constitution settles this question. It says that no agency can spend any money without our elected representatives in Congress approving it.
Yeah.
Our founding fathers would react in horror to think that a government lawyer that's unelected and unaccountable to the people could just on her own decide that she's going to spend $2.5 billion of our money on her pet special interest groups.
What about the Pacific Legal Foundation? You must have been a little bit flattered that you were singled out as one of the groups they didn't want to give money to, because evidently you must be doing a good job in trying to do the right thing. Talk about that just a little bit, please.
Absolutely. I think the fact that they named us specifically and only us is a testament to the long track record of success we've had going up against government attorneys and winning on behalf of property owners. It's no surprise that they mentioned our property rights work as a reason why they were afraid of us. We have a very long track record of success and have won 9 cases in the United States Supreme Court against government attorneys, and will continue to do so. Ultimately, the lesson here isn't that we should have gotten this money. It's that no one should have. The Constitution doesn't allow government attorneys to try to steer the nation's money towards special interest groups. No one should get it regardless of the politics.
How big is the Pacific Legal Foundation right now, Jonathan? How much power do you have in your punch? It sounds to me like you're really making inroads and making a lot of people worry about what you do.
We're certainly growing, but we're nothing compared to the government lawyers, the lawyers that the government has on the payroll that we all pay for. We depend on the generous support of donors who voluntarily give to promote our freedom, our pro-freedom mission. I think we have between 25 and 30 attorneys right now, and that's a substantial growth over the past. And in fact, I think we've had 5 or 6 Supreme Court cases in just the last 5 years. We really are becoming more and more powerful over time because of our incredible record of success beating government lawyers.
You have done an outstanding job, you and also in its entirety, the Pacific Legal Foundation, on private property rights. I was asked this question over the weekend, a good friend of mine said, is there really a war on ownership and private property rights in this country? What's your opinion on that?
I think we've gotten complacent. We take it for granted. So much regulation we just assume is okay, especially when it doesn't affect our daily lives. It's one thing when a regulation says that I can't build my home, but when it's someone else states away from me, it doesn't affect me in the same way, and I probably don't think about it. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, have that perspective, and our founding fathers recognized that the only way our constitutional rights are going to be protected is if the people generally continue to care about them, and that's why it is absolutely essential that more people learn about the Constitution, learn about the importance of property rights, and that our courts take seriously their obligation to defend it. I mean, the fact that there is so much regulation of property rights and the government almost never has to compensate the victims of that regulation is really the fault of the courts.
You know, when you say this, Jonathan, over the years, when did all this start to transition and change against private property? Where was the beginning? And certainly, I hope we don't see the end on this in the next couple of years, but where did the assault on ownership of land and private property rights start? And thank God we have the Pacific Legal Foundation to jump in and help us.
So things started to get bad. It's really development over the last 100 or so years with the incredible expansion of regulation without requirements that government compensate. But one of the turning points, and really a lightning rod case, was the Kelo case that the Supreme Court decided a little over a decade ago, where a woman had her little pink house stolen by a local government to give to a giant pharmaceutical corporation, basically as a gift. And the Supreme Court said that's fine. The government can use its eminent domain powers to take people's private property in order to give it to another private company, and that's fine under the Takings Clause. And we think that is absolutely wrong. If you read the Constitution, it says that property can only be taken for public use, and that is the kind of decision that ultimately cannot stand. The Supreme Court will eventually have to overturn that decision, because once you allow property to be taken to be given to special interests, that is a slippery slope. There's really no way to prevent abuse.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of stories that we have on the air regarding Pacific Legal Foundation jumping in and helping. You said earlier, of course, you really depend on people getting involved and helping support Pacific Legal Foundation. Tell us how, tell us what they can do, and give us some interesting facts as to where they can help out, addresses, that type of thing.
Absolutely. So Pacific Legal Foundation represents all of its clients for free, and that is the only way ordinary people like you and me have any hope of standing up to the government. Its lawyers are financed by our tax dollars. They can stretch cases out and make as long as they want and make them as expensive as they want, and it doesn't cost them anything, but it absolutely makes it cost prohibitive for most people to defend their rights. That's why it's so important that groups like Pacific Legal Foundation exist, and that people are generous and willing to support its mission. We rely exclusively on private voluntary contributions to fund our work. Most of that is coming from ordinary individuals who believe in the mission we're advancing and are happy to contribute, often in rather small amounts. But that builds up and makes a huge difference. Anyone who wants to know more about PLS cases or how you can support PLS, the best place to go is to our website, pacificlegal.org. There, as I said, you'll find more about what our mission is, what our cases are, and we even have a blog that you can find a little bit more detail about some of our cases.
You know, one final thought here, Jonathan. Since Donald Trump has been in office in the last 10-plus months, have you seen the regulatory means and the regulatory scares start to diminish? Are you optimistic for this administration? What do you think's going to happen? And what happens if he's reelected in another term? What's the optimism about getting away from a lot of these very depressing regulations?
So I'd say it's a mixed bag. The pace of new regulations has absolutely slowed down. One of the great things about gridlock in D.C. is that it prevents new laws and new regulations from being put on the backs of the people, and that certainly has slowed down with all of the circus that's been going on out here.
Yeah.
But the fact is that government bureaucrats continue to be unaccountable and continue to use their regulatory power to abuse ordinary people. The change in administration didn't change what happened to, for instance, Duarte Nursery, a farmer who was threatened with tens of millions of dollars in fines for plowing a field and ultimately had to settle for $1 million just to get the government off his back, and that happened under the Trump administration. So I think things have gotten better and that the pace of new regulations has slowed, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Absolutely. Pacific Legal Foundation, Jonathan Wood, God bless you, man. Thank you for taking the time to be on our program, and please know you're welcome here anytime. Thank you much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Very interesting story about another smoking gun email from the Department of Justice, and it makes you wonder, really. Department of Justice? Are you kidding me? Justice? Oh, my. Like I said earlier this morning, there's not a broom and a dustpan big enough to clean up Washington, D.C. Right now it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by some really, really good friends of ours, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, CPAs that have been serving the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, payroll services, retirement planning, and oh, by the way, don't forget, getting close to the end of the year, be sure and get out your 1099s and W-2s, and also your tax planning before the end of this year. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
You might want to hold on to your hats today because it's going to be a windy one. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. We are in a wind advisory for today, especially up through the noon hour. Gusts possible out of the northeast, right around 40 miles an hour. Other than that, looking at sunny skies, high of 50, tonight low of 26. Tomorrow, winds dying down, still going to be sunny, high of 54, overnight low of 36 for Halloween proper. And then for Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 63, overnight low of 37. As we look towards Thursday, slight chance of rain showers are going to be in the forecast. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And thank you, Gina. We appreciate it. And the weather brought to you this hour by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert, serving you with the best of CPA services as they have for well over the last 50 years. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I welcome your phone calls. We'll talk about anything you want for the next little bit and look forward to hearing from you at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Did you folks hear, honestly, when I read this, I thought it was a joke, but Kellogg's Corn Pops, they're going to have to change the artistry work on the front box of their Corn Pops because some of the Corn Pops characters might represent racism. I'm not kidding you. The story, there was a person called Saladin Ahmed thought that the single brown corn pop on the front of the box represented a janitor operating a floor waxer, and he took offense at that and asked the question, why is literally the only brown corn pop on the front of the cereal box the janitor? And he said, this is teaching kids racism. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. So Kellogg's immediately apologized. And they said, well, there was no harm or any intent to harm or hurt anyone's feelings or act in a racist manner. So they're redesigning and recoloring the box just on this one derogatory statement that it might be racist. Oh, my goodness. One person complains. One person comes up with a meaning that no one else thought of or even looked at. And automatically the Kellogg Cereal Company has to spend literally, I don't know how many big dollars to change the front of their cereal box so that it doesn't offend anyone. What are your thoughts on this? No matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter what you say, you're going to have the risk of offending someone or some group or some entity any time of the day. What about this? I mean, going ahead and yelling and screaming and saying that, well, one of those corn pops had a little bit darker ink on the front of the box, and a brown corn pop was working as a janitor operating a floor wax. See, some of the characters on the front of the Kellogg's Corn Pops box were shown shopping, playing in an arcade, or frolicking in a fountain, and one skateboards down an escalator. But one that they said was a little bit darker brown in color was a floor waxer, a janitor, and that was oppressive. Oh, my goodness sakes alive. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Not to change your subject, but being close to Halloween, if anyone is interested in a fantastic Halloween display, have them drop by the 400 block of West 21st Street in Burley. Those folks have done a fantastic job over there.
Well, tell me a little bit about it. What does it look like?
Well, you won't believe it. Everything's mechanical. You got them fixed up with lights, mechanical, and everything works great. It's something that'd be worth seeing if anybody's interested.
Let me ask you a question, and I don't mean to be rude to you at all, but I'm 70 years old, and I'm assuming that you're fairly close to my age one way or the other. Halloween, I mean, we used to have fun on Halloween. We used to go out and trick and or treat, but nowadays you got to be so politically correct. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, you're right, Zeb. I'm 15 years older than you are. And I still enjoy some of the good things that used to happen. And this play, those folks have done a fantastic job for the entertainment of anybody who wants to stop by. Don't cost you nothing but just to stop by and look.
Absolutely. I'm going to put you on the spot one more time. Now, be honest with me. What was one of the greatest, or what were some of the greatest tricks that you ever played on Halloween? Come on now. Tell me about it.
Well, back in the old town, we used to take a buggy apart and go up and put it up on the old schoolhouse and put it back together. That was quite a joke on town folks. They wondering how they were going to get it down.
I love it. Listen, I want to wish you a very happy Halloween and through all the rest of the year with Thanksgiving and Christmas, etc. God bless you for your call.
Same to you, Eb.
Thank you. Oh, we did a lot of things, some of which I can't mention on the air. You never know. Maybe the time frame and being arrested might not be over. We did a lot of things when we were kids. I wish now I wouldn't have. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, it is Clarence again. And, I'm 74, and I love Halloween. I have a lot of fun with it. In fact, my school bus is all decorated on the inside with bats and skeletons and spiders. And tomorrow I'm going to dress up with the rest of the kids.
There you go.
Halloween.
I love that. I love your attitude about this. And let me ask you the same question. I mean, what happened to Halloween? It used to be just a fun day, and everybody kind of just stepped out of the normal, and they wore a costume or something. Why is it now politically non-correct to celebrate Halloween?
Well, I think, Zeb, the main thing is the low life that are out there that hide razor blades in apples and puts harmful stuff in candy, and that's going to hurt the kids. It's put Halloween back so far that people are scared to go out and do like they used to. We used to go out and hit. Oh man, I tell you, we used to fill the bags up. And it wasn't, we weren't beyond maybe pushing an outhouse over here or there once in a while. But, we used to go out and just get as much candy as we can. Anymore, it's just to the point where parents are scared to turn their kids loose out there and let them go trick-or-treating. So that's why I think this conquer treat that they have in the square and that is an excellent setup for kids to get their candy.
No, I agree with you, but I think also you'll agree with me on this statement that when Deanna and I first got married back in the early 70s, and whether we lived in Twin Falls for a while, and then I got a place out in the country, and we had our horses and everything, but we used to have lines of kids coming by to trick-or-treat, and it was kind of a sad thing to see that stop.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That back in those days there was. Even when, like you say, when I was married, we used to have tons of kids. Man, we never figured we was never going to have enough to feed them all. Candies and apples and candy corn and I mean just all kinds of stuff we used to put out, and really hope we had enough.
Absolutely.
We feel like we wanted to get our windows soaked,
Hey, listen, God bless you, and thanks very much. Happy Halloween to you. Thank you.
Yes. Happy Halloween to you too, Zeb.
All right, thanks. Hey, by the way, the gentleman brought up something really interesting, and it's true. I was going to hit this anyway. Tomorrow evening on the Rupert Square Trunk or Treat, and it's going to start at 6:30 and go till 9:30, and it's providing a safe and family-friendly environment for the community's children to come in and enjoy Halloween festivities, and they're going to start, like I said, at 6:30, and if you'd like to participate or donate, call 434-2757 or 312-2785. That's tomorrow night, Rupert Square Trunk or Treat from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. Absolutely nice people over there. Yeah, Halloween, I mean, come on, we used to have fun. We didn't hurt anybody. We didn't destroy any property, anything. We did come up with some very innovative tricks, but I tell you what, the holidays and oh, you can't do that now. Oh, no, you can't dress up. Oh, no, you can't dress like that. Even in the colleges and universities, they're starting to police what you can wear and what you can't wear as a costume because, that might not be politically correct. Oh, that might hurt somebody's feelings. This is ridiculous. We as a nation have lost one very important thing. It's gone. We've lost the ability to laugh at ourselves, poke fun at ourselves. We're way too serious, and everybody wants to go to court and sue. Don't forget Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call for information, 436-3200. They would love to have you stop over and visit their facility. They would love to have your loved one check it out. They are able to provide more one-on-one care. They really care. And personalized help for each and every individual. Please remember the name, remember the number. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. They are small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. I tell you what happened, folks. My guest, Michael Doherty, computer guru, and talking about all the things that are going on with other countries trying to splice into our information, was scheduled for 10:06. We just got word that he is not going to be available, so I'm asking your help. 10:06, I want phone calls. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about for that segment till 10:30. And then at 10:30, we have Julio Rivera coming on. He is the editorial director for the Reactionary Times. And we're going to be talking about all the information that's being stolen from us on cyber warfare. So that's coming up at 10:30 this morning. Until then, we're going to turn it back over to Wheels at our main studio. Call me next hour. Your calls will be appreciated. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be right back. Oh, good morning. Zeb at the Ranch, hour number 3. I'm Zeb Bell, along with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Big fall tire sale going on right now. And also some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. Good morning. We do not have a guest for this segment. We did. Michael Doherty was scheduled to be on the program, and therefore your calls are welcome. Caller, I appreciate it. Stand by. I'll be right with you. I want to remind everybody on Thursday we have a segment called School Days in Cassia County, brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, with all the baby clothing, the baby furniture, all the scrubs, the cribs, everything. It's right there at a family store, A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, and Ambulatory Surgery Center. And they're located at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Number to call for your outpatient surgeries like colonoscopies, carpal hand surgery, you name it, they can help you and save you money, is 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County. Caller, thank you for your call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir. Who's this?
This is Is this me?
It better be, or there's the wrong man on the air at the wrong time. Sounds like Marty Mickelson.
It is. Good morning. I was glad you had some time this morning. It sounds like that service you just talked about could maybe help me out on a few things. I've got, so many years driving. I've got my sign language. I might need a carpal tunnel on that thing. So.
All the years of driving and being out in front of the public, I'm sure some of the hand signals that you have learned probably aren't admissible on the program.
That's true. My wife said one day we were watching Napoleon Dynamite with the Happy Hands Club, and I said, well, I know a few sign languages, but I said I can't use them.
Right. Marty, what are you calling in for? I want to compliment you and your son, and Wheels, ride that feedback gain a little bit, if you would, please. You did so much to help those people down in the Houston area. Tell us about what's going on.
Well, we're taking our last load on Thursday, and I wanted to take this time and just call and thank your listeners. I'm just impressed with the response we got. We want to thank Les Schwab, and I've used those guys a few times going through there. We've had my share of flat tires and nails and that, but just what a good organization that they are.
Absolutely.
I'm so impressed. Last weekend, in the middle of the week, we went out to Jerome. There was a youth group there that got together, went through all the clothes, the boots. We had a bunch of, there was an Eagle Scout project for young men, and it was very well organized. They polished up those boots. There's new boots. There's good used boots. It just, nothing had to be thrown away. It's just, I'm just so impressed.
Well, Marty, I want to
tell them thank them.
I really appreciate your calling in this morning, not only to help fill the time for this half hour where we had a guest that's not showing up, but also because I so much appreciate the diligent work and the helpful work that you and your son and your family has done to help those people down in the Houston area. Now, what about the distribution of these boots and the tack and everything? How's that going to be handled?
Well, I've talked to, and maybe I'll give a little bit of background with your listeners. When we first thought of that, the reason that we wanted to do this is we're delivering cattle. We had some stuff going to Texas, and the people just said, we can't take it. We don't have feed. We don't have a place to put them.
Wow.
Anything. And so, luckily, there was a guy that lived neighbors to me that was hired by the National FFA organization in Indianapolis. And knowing him, I just called him and says, put me in contact with someone in Texas that got hardest hit. We don't want to take this stuff and drop it off in some warehouse. We want to go direct.
You're right.
And through that program, they put us in touch with an ag teacher, and we took grain, hay, dog food, a lot of cattle stuff the first time, and there was 22 FFA members in that chapter that families had lost everything. And so the potatoes that we took were given to a homeless, it was a church from Mississippi that had come up, and they were cooking for the people that have been displaced and the homeless, and the people that were helping.
Right.
They're volunteering. And so that was put to good use. There was Gosner's milk that was the same. So the FFA chapter actually has facilities, and so the hay and grain went there of the kids that have no place to put their cattle or pigs or sheep or whatever it may be is being fed at the FFA facilities. Now, this time, with the boots and stuff, those guys, I'm so impressed with how the ag teachers knew the needs and knew who was in need. We don't want to just go down there and give it to somebody and not know what happened.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to meet them again Saturday, and the FFA advisor is going to facilitate the distribution, and I feel really good about that. We've got a bunch of tack in boxes, and the kids that night cleaned up that stuff and polished it and waxed it, and it's just a great project.
Well, I really appreciate your calling up and saying thank you, and this gives me another opportunity to say that my listeners, and I mean this, my listeners on this program are the greatest people in the world, and I so much appreciate their donations of the boots and the clothing and the tack for the horses. I mean, I was really dumbfounded as to the great big mountain of equipment and boots, etc., that we loaded into the back of your sister's pickup about a week ago.
Well, when we got there to Jerome, and we had stuff too, but I was dumbfounded, Deb. I couldn't believe how much stuff was there. They had 50 or 60 kids there, and I didn't think we were going to get through it all.
Really?
And I mean, it went into late into the night. Getting through all of that stuff, I was just amazed. And this is just a side note from some old cowboy poet, me. But we just sent just an email out to. I was trying to get Baxter Black to come out of retirement. And he said he wouldn't do that, but he sent us a great big box of boots from him, from his own collection. So.
Wow.
That was kind of fun too, but every pair, it doesn't matter who they came from, are important.
Marty, let me ask you this. You've been there, you've seen it, you've had a chance to talk to the people. Give us kind of a synopsis of how bad it was, what it's like now, and how long is it going to be before they can get back to quote-unquote normal?
Well, I think that the thing that shocked me most, and the thing that, we see pictures on the news, but driving through there, with people just standing out on their lawns looking at piles of sheetrock and, insulation and just, beds and couches and stuff that were just soaked with water, they're waiting for, the dumpsters, and there's just not enough people to repair that stuff.
Yeah.
And they just have to wait. So and the thing that I was brought to my attention that I understand, they're watered. It's not just flood. It's, it's sewage water. It's there's a lot of health concerns with that also. It's just not water. It's, and so then you've got, things that we don't have to worry about, a long flow to an alligator, or, water moccasins, or, people that live down in Texas and south. There's more hazards in the water than you can see.
This is something, I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is something that I was talking to a person down there that you gave me the name and number, and we had a rather long conversation about the gators and the snakes and everything else that have taken up a new residence on people's property, or they've floated in and they're in their barns, and they've got to be extremely cautious about where they put their hands because they don't know what's taken up residence in that area.
Yeah, around here, if there was a snake in the house, at my house, and it might even be a water snake, this old boy's not going to be anywhere around that. The little creepy crawlers, I just don't. Yeah, and so, but the another thing that the Houston Motor Speedway, and we took some photos of that.
Yeah.
There's 200,000 cars sitting there, waiting to be demolished or try and be repaired, and that just, are soaked with water.
Right. The main reason...
It's been a month since we've been down there. It'll be really interesting to go down again.
Absolutely.
Weekend, and
absolutely.
We'll probably give you an update on that when we get back. But I imagine after a month, things kind of start to get it back to normal. But after a month, the other thing that happens is the people that don't live in that area get involved in their own lives and kind of forget about those things too.
But Marty, what was the reaction to the people when they heard you and your boy were turning this into your own little dedicated project to do all you could to bring things down to help them? I mean, tell us about some of the personalities and some of the people.
Well, it would be like going into a community, because we were away from Houston, a ways, but it'd be like coming into a community like Burley or that, that size. And, those people are proud people, and they're self-reliant. They're people that would never ask for help. And so pulling in there with stuff, and it's kind of making me tear up now, but you want to see some emotions and, just that one trip and the couple hours we spent there unloading that, we've got lifelong friends that are there.
Absolutely.
One thing that I told my boys, and it's good to see these kids get involved. And we didn't want to make this about us. We want to make it about the FFA kids. And I've told them, and I've said this, you personally, me personally, any of your listeners personally, we can't help hundreds of people, but we can help one.
Yep.
Or we can help two.
Yep.
That doesn't have to be in Houston. It can be your neighbor. It can be, somebody on the street. We can help one person and make a difference for them.
Absolutely. Marty, I know that you had some health issues that kind of came up and slapped you in the face after you were down in Houston the first time. How are you feeling after you had that emergency surgery?
Well, I feel pretty dang good, and kind of a side note, for your listeners, and I know I've had some calls, people concerned, but when my son and I left for Texas, I didn't feel good, and I tried getting my son that's a senior in high school to go with Hayden, and he just, he gave me the sob story of he can't miss the big high school rivalry football game the next day, and my wife, being the nurse, she looks at me and says, "You're all right. You just got a man cold." And so we made the trip to Texas, but by the time I got back, I was really sick.
And I
went to the doctor the next day, and I had a ruptured appendix.
Oh, my.
And so I spent a week in the hospital, and yesterday at church, my wife was giving she's the Sunday school teacher, and she was talking about some guy that had died from a ruptured appendix, and I raised my hand, and I said, "I told you I was sick."
Marty, I want to tell you...
I'll be able to give her a hard time about that for a long time, but I actually feel really good and looking forward to this next trip. And I looked at a couple of pictures I seen, and I looked a little pale, but I feel really good now. So.
Well, listen, on behalf of you and your wife and your children, I want to extend that it's been a blessing to have you as a friend, and all you did for those people down at Houston, Texas area, and are continuing to do. I say God bless you for all your efforts. Thank you very much.
Well, again, thank you guys. Appreciate the listeners. And when I get back, I'm gonna come to one of those lunch bunches someday, and we're gonna have a good visit about this.
We'll look forward to it. Marty Mickelson, drive with care, my dear friend. Thank you for all you did. Appreciate it a lot.
Okay, you guys have a great day.
Thank you very much. What a kind man, and his family. They're such nice people, and they were the ones that really jumped in with both feet and said, we got to do something to help those people down in Houston, Texas. And one thing led to another, and then I brought up about the boots, and then it started escalating, and thank you. Thank you to each and every person that contributed. Thank you, and God bless you. We really do appreciate it. Calls are welcome, and excuse me, the number to call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Ralph Carlson is running for a candidate for Burley City Council, and he would like your vote on November the 7th. This man is very community-oriented, and he said many challenges are going to fall upon zoning restrictions, utilities, street and recreational facilities, and he wants to be a part of it in serving you. Ralph Carlson for Burley City Council. He wants your vote on November 7th. This is a man that has a bachelor's degree in public administration and has worked as an engineer, and with his academic background, he wants to work and serve the people of Burley as a candidate for the Burley City Council. Ralph Carlson, paid for by Ralph Carlson for Burley City Council. Also, another gentleman, and that, of course, is John Anderson. John Anderson is running for a Burley City Council seat, running for a 4-year council seat, as a matter of fact. John's main goal is to keep Burley a great place to live and raise a family. You know, he was the mayor of Burley for 8 years, and he would like to have your vote on November 7th. He's very concerned about the city, the growth, the infrastructure, and what the citizens are paying, and wants to make sure everything is a fair rate for everyone. He appreciates your vote on November 7th for a 4-year council seat. John Anderson for Burley City Council, paid for by John Anderson. We got time for one more phone call. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Did you hear that story? And I watched the TV news broadcast of that. The 2 women that were literally lost at sea for 5 months. 2 women and 2 dogs on this boat. Holy cow. Now, I personally would have gone nuts. I don't particularly care for the water. Anything bigger than Murtaugh Lake, I don't care for. And they were talking about how the sharks, schools of sharks, were swimming by the bottom of the boat, trying to get into the boat because they smelled, evidently, or something. They wanted to get at the dogs, and they had to lay the dogs down on the floor of the boat and literally cover them up and make them stay quiet so the sharks wouldn't try anything as far as, holy cow, biting their boat apart. I couldn't believe that story. 5 months lost at sea. Couldn't handle it. Right now, let's remind you about Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Oh, my goodness sakes, you better check it out today. Why? Because you might qualify for up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox Home Comfort System. All you need to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459, and they'll give you all the particulars. Don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This is a story that I wanted to hit earlier this morning, but Visa is making every effort they can to escalate the war on cash. This is true. I found this in Newsmax magazine, and Newsmax is warning of the coming plan to abolish cash, and it looks like Visa has taken a step toward realizing the ultimate dream of anti-cash crusaders, meaning that every transaction can be tracked by the government, and they're pushing for a card-use-only society. What do you think about that? I do not want people to know what I buy, what I purchase, etc. That's no one's business. I like carrying cash. I don't want to accept the mark of the beast. I don't want just a credit card society. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call at 436-2244. And they're trying to force and coerce restaurants not to take cash and only credit cards. If they do this, I would probably urge a lot of my listeners to go in and really push the envelope. And it almost sounds like they're going to start a prerequisite of, if you want to come into the restaurant, and you want to buy, you have to prepay for your meal so that we see whether you have a credit card or not. If you have cash, we won't serve you. That's the premise that's being put out here. And I wonder how many restaurant owners would go along with Visa and say, no cash, only credit cards for food purchases. How many would really go along with that? I'd like to know. But anyway, the Visa people are saying that we have an incredible opportunity to educate merchants and consumers alike on the effectiveness of going cashless. That's just what they want, so the government can track any and all purchases. I want to remind you that the 6th annual dinner and raffle for the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Chapter 13-5, is going to be held this next weekend on Saturday, November 4th. Dinner at 5 and the raffle at 7, and it's going to be at the River Christian Fellowship Church in Twin Falls at 4002 North, 3300 East Falls Avenue. That's coming up on this coming Saturday. Another event that's coming up on Saturday is the Hopwood Family Benefit Dinner and Auction. It's going to be at the Kimberly Middle School Commons. It's going to be Saturday, November 4th, starting at 6 p.m. with a tri-tip beef dinner, and then a live auction at 7 o'clock. And I know these family members, Rodney and Carol, really good people, and they've hit some really hard times with some bad health issues, and we wish them the best. If you'd like to donate and contribute, go to any First Federal Bank and donate to the Carol and Rodney Hopwood Benefit. There you have it. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studio for these good words, and then we'll be back with our next segment.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, thank you very much, and welcome back to our last half hour this morning. And we want to remind you about some of our political folks that are running for office on November 7th, including Bryce Morgan for Burley City Council. This young man sees a great future in the Burley area, but it needs to be managed, and he's a fiscal conservative and believes in keeping his family, the business, and government out of debt. This man, Bryce Morgan, has a master's degree in business administration and a bachelor's degree in accounting, and he wants to serve you. Remember, on November 7th, Bryce Morgan for Burley City Council. I bit my tongue, and boy, does it hurt. He's a man that wants your vote. He believes he has the qualifications to help the city of Burley as a Burley City Council member. Bryce Morgan, paid for Bryce Morgan City Council in the November 7th election. There you go. Also, boy, oh boy, did you ever do that? Bite your tongue and all of a sudden it goes numb and you can't say a word for a few minutes? I do that frequently. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. Now, they urge you to call and stop in. Take a look at the facility because they offer their people more one-on-one care. They really personalize the help for each individual that stays there. And they want you to stop by and see the facility. They've got a wonderful facility that's open for tours. And believe me, they think that they absolutely can help serve you and your family member that might need that little extra help. Give them a call today, 436-3200. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Right now, let's go to the phone line. I have not had this gentleman on the program before, so I am going to ask him to correct me if I pronounce his name wrong. Good morning, Julio Rivera. How are you?
You know what? You just did a fantastic job of getting it right the first time.
Well, you're making me feel good, Julio, and you are the director for Reactionary Times. What does that mean? And tell us a little bit about the organization.
Okay, yes. Well, I'm the editorial director at reactionarytimes.com. We're a right-wing leaning website. We actually also do Reactionary Times Radio, which we have several hosts that take that mantle weekly, as well as Reactionary Times Television, which has actually we have a new episode coming out tonight on Facebook Live, YouTube, featuring Will Johnson, Chadwick Moore, and congressional candidate in New Jersey, Steve Lonigan. And that's tonight's episode at 10 p.m.
Okay, now you call yourself, in a little bit of the bio that I've got here, you call yourself a conservarican. What does that mean?
Well, basically, it's just kind of a hybrid word. I'm a conservative, obviously, and my heritage is from Puerto Rico. I live in New Jersey, which I like to call Blue Jersey. It's very, very liberal out here. But despite that, I find myself with, middle of the country, deep red state conservative views. So it's kind of a name that I go by here and I'm known as. And it's kind of, some people like it, some people think it's kind of funny. It's just kind of one of those things. My original website was actually conservarican.com. So that was the original site where I put editorials up. But we kind of developed this reactionary times thing, which is really the main thing that we're running with at this point.
Julio, let me ask you this, and I want to get into the cybersecurity in just a moment, but I want to ask you this question first and foremost. Puerto Rico was devastated with that hurricane, and my heart and my prayers goes out to all the people and families over in Puerto Rico. But do you feel that Donald Trump, our president, and this administration really got a bum rap over what happened in Puerto Rico?
Oh, absolutely. And I have actually an editorial coming out this week, which is a scathing indictment of the politics of Puerto Rico and the cronyism and the, frankly, straight corruption of PREPA, the Puerto Rico Energy and Power Authority. They squandered $9 billion in money that they obtained through the sale of public bonds and bank loans. They were supposed to upgrade their power grid. That never happened. They were supposed to bring wind energy, solar energy resources. Never happened. And it's not the Donald Trump's fault, Donald Trump's administration's fault. It's not FEMA's fault. Quite frankly, their power lines and their electricity poles were like wet noodles, ready to go down at any moment. And something interesting that people forget is before Hurricane Maria, there was a Hurricane Irma that never really hit on the mainland. It was another really big one that happened a couple of weeks before. But before Irma even hit the mainland Puerto Rico, 300,000 Puerto Ricans lost power. And over nothing. It just tells you how antiquated and out of shape their power grid was. And it wasn't because of a lack of funding. I mean, the money was given to them. They just squandered it.
Yeah. What did you think of the way that the left, the Democrats, whether it was Schumer, whether it was Pelosi, it doesn't make any difference who it was, how they molded the situation with Puerto Rico into an anti-Trump movement? What did you think of that?
I mean, I'm not shocked. I think anything can happen, and it's going to be Donald Trump's fault. I mean, for God's sakes, the eclipse that went over the middle of the country was a sign of the end of the world because of Donald Trump. I mean, the wildfires that are being caused by illegal immigrants that he's trying to get out of this country are supposed to be a political statement against him. People are causing anarchy because they're unhappy with the president. It doesn't matter what happens. I mean, for God's sakes, there could be a volcano tomorrow or another natural disaster. It'll be Donald Trump's fault. Anything that happens is Donald Trump's fault. If you burn your eggs, your scrambled eggs in the morning, it's Donald Trump's fault. It's ridiculous. The level of disconnect with reality, it's a psychosis. I mean, it really, truly is Trump derangement syndrome at a level that I've never seen before. It's actually, if it wasn't so sad, it would actually be hilarious.
Okay, now, I want to really get into cybersecurity, and I want to tell you first and foremost, Julio, that you are talking to the most uninformed, not intelligent being when it comes to cyber information. I feel that cybersecurity, what little bit I know, the world is watching us. The world can shut us down if they'd like to or want to or when they want to. And we as private individuals, we no longer have our secrecy and our individualism anymore. It's gone. What are your thoughts on cybersecurity?
Well, yeah, it's as if the Fourth Amendment does not exist. You know, and I would say we've gotten evidence already now that through this supposedly private company, Kaspersky Labs, which I have always felt and it's speculated is being funded with state money, that they have some semblance of an agreement with the Kremlin. Russian law would allow for them to go ahead and seize the records legally of Kaspersky at any time, which has 400 million users globally, and get access to the information on those 400 million users. People don't understand, once you download a cybersecurity software like a anti-malware, anti-spyware sort of program on your computer, that software provider has everything on you. You know, they know everything. They have access to all of the files within your computer. So it's really a dangerous state of affairs now that Kaspersky and Interpol are going to be entering into this infection sharing agreement, where basically, you know, it's for supposedly informational purposes, but that also gives Interpol, an international crime agency, you know, basically access to the files on these users as well. It is a smart assumption to assume, as you stated, that we no longer really live in an era of secrecy, or where you do have your own privacy, and that kind of was uncovered via the Snowden, the Edward Snowden revelations from a couple of years ago, where we found out that there were these, you know, these vast metadata, farming projects going on by the NSA. So you are absolutely right. So I mean, and that's, you know, for the average American, I think the average American is becoming more aware of the fact that we no longer live in an era where we really truly have privacy.
Let me ask you this, Julio, and again, I'm not as well versed in any way, shape, or form on this subject like you are. But if I were to ask questions and think about cybersecurity and what they can do and what they can't do, on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you, an expert on this topic, that people have gotten a lot of information that might be negative for the United States and our safety and security? How concerned are you?
Well, I mean, Israel wound up actually uncovering this revelation that an NSA contractor took some of the information, or put some of the information from their work for the NSA on a personal laptop at home. It was determined that that laptop had Kaspersky software on it. Kaspersky was data mining for information. What they were actually doing is they were doing a survey of their 400 users, looking for, basically they were plugging in code words that were the names of suspected U.S. intelligence programs, and they were also looking for, under that those searches, under subsets, for words like top secret and classified. So we already know that this is actually happening, and the really scary part is that now that this Israeli, now that this revelation that's come out about 3-4 weeks ago regarding what Israeli intelligence uncovered, that Interpol still wants to go forward in doing business with Kaspersky. I mean, Eugene Kaspersky himself was a KGB-trained cryptographer who's worked previously for Soviet intelligence, the old Soviet Union. He has ties to Putin. I mean, this is really scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some things that Americans can try to do as far as what they use for their cybersecurity solutions. I would obviously suggest that you use an American-based product. I think these foreign-based companies, like anything Russian, like Kaspersky or Dr. Web, or Chinese, like KU360. The other thing, too, is the Chinese government was manufacturing these knockoff Samsung Galaxy phones that were preloaded with spyware. Internationally, I mean, that's the next, the next big thing. I mean, and it already is. I mean, we've already seen that it's happening.
Yeah. I
mean, that's how these foreign governments are going to gain leverage over citizens internationally and governments internationally, is via cyber espionage. That is really the future. And not only the future, it's the present.
Well, let me ask you this then. I mean, as far as myself here in southern Idaho, or you in New Jersey, wherever, there are those people that would like to have all the identity theft and really control us, our bank accounts, get our money out of those accounts, etc. Are we at a point of no return to where there's nothing sacred, nothing safe? What can we, the American public, do?
I mean, honestly, what I would do is, because let's say you don't know anything about any of this, and God knows what you may have actually previously downloaded in the past. What I would do is when you get a brand new device, I would go out and I would install a really good, like, American-based cyber, like a spyware software, like anti-spyware, anti-malware, data security software, something like maybe like a Spy Hunter, one of those types of programs. Definitely an American-based program. That's personally the one that I use. And I would just be very careful what email attachments that you open up. I mean, that's actually the real way that they're hacking into people right now. Phishing is huge. That's basically how a lot of this, the WannaCry and the Petya and the big ones that we had earlier this year, they were basically phishing expeditions. You would get a email from someone that looked like it was something similar or something that you may have had interest in the past or signed up for. You click on the attachment, boom, they're in your computer, and it's ransomware. And with that ransomware, they're requesting, anywhere between $200 to like $800 in order to free your files. And just because they free your files doesn't mean that the information that they did obtain through your computer isn't kept for storage and sold internationally to another hacking group.
Yeah.
So, once they get your information, you're kind of screwed as far as that device. The best thing to do is kind of chuck it and get a new device and make sure that it's protected.
One final thought that I'd like to ask you, Bob, before I let you go this morning, Julio. I heard last week and have been following for quite some time, as a matter of fact, the possibility that Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks and a billionaire, may throw his hat in the ring to become president in 2020. I don't like the man. I don't trust the man. What are your thoughts about Mark Cuban?
Well, it's funny. I wrote an editorial about this last week, but, I mean, I think he's a petulant child. I don't think he has the maturity level to be president. I think he's the luckiest guy. There's winners and losers whenever you have a boom and bust cycle in our economy. I believe that he was the ultimate winner of the dot-com bubble because ultimately his broadcast.com software, which wound up, basically being worthless, wound up being sold to Yahoo for $5.7 billion worth of stock back, when, there were these nothing businesses that were being overvalued in the dot-com bubble. I really don't think he's very much talented as anything more than a self-promoter. I don't think that just because he's a billionaire that he has the qualifications of Donald Trump. Donald Trump built a sustainable business that's, actually based on a valued commodity, real estate, something that's real and valuable. And Donald Trump has built some of the more beautiful properties all over the world, where Mark Cuban is just like this kind of he's like a big kid, and if you could just see it in the way he runs the Dallas Mavericks, and then he said some concerning things in support of Colin Kaepernick. I think you have to be more of a patriot than that to even, pass the smell test for president. Please just say no to Mark Cuban in the 2020 primary. I think that guys like that, the only thing that they'll do is they'll make Donald Trump spend money in the primary, which really should be a walkover, and it'll only weaken him for the general election.
I like you. You got to come back on the program. The director for Reactionary Times, Julio Rivera, Conserva Rican, and I've enjoyed having you on the program, and I hope you'll come back in the future.
It was a real pleasure being on, and anytime you need me, I'd be so happy.
All right, sir. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Nice guy. Nice guy. Julio Rivera, editorial director for Reactionary Times. Thank you very much. Holy cow, I got to get the weather forecast in here. The weather is brought to you by Scarro's Meats. That's all you can say is delicious, absolutely scrumptious, delicious meats from Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and check out all the delicious meats in their retail department. Wow, they are fantastic, from bacon all the way up to prime rib. It's phenomenal. Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrows Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
You might want to hold on to your hats today because it's going to be a windy one. Here is your weather for Zev at the Ranch. We are in a wind advisory for today, especially up through the noon hour. Gusts possible out of the northeast, right around 40 miles an hour. Other than that, looking at sunny skies, high of 50. Tonight, low of 26. Tomorrow, winds dying down, still going to be sunny, high of 54, overnight low of 36 for Halloween proper. And then for Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 63, overnight low of 37. As we look towards Thursday, slight chance of rain showers are going to be in the forecast. That is your weather for Zev at the Ranch.
I'll tell you what, Don Scarrow and the crew, they continue to always be focused on personal customer service and quality products, and I know that's a fact. Don't forget Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, and the number to call, 324-7657. Scarrows Meats, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Thank you very much. Tomorrow, and really I want you to jump in and help me on this tomorrow. We can have some fun with it. In the first hour, instead of talking about all the news and talking about all the negativity in the world, we're going to make it a little bit more lighthearted, if you will, and we're going to have scary stories about Halloween. I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that remember maybe a trick and not part of the treat from Halloween's gone by, and maybe some other stories about maybe something really unusual that happened to you and your family on Halloween, or maybe kind of a scary story. So give me a call tomorrow morning, first hour, and we'll talk about some of these scary stories on the air. I've got a couple I can share. One in particular that to this day, and I'm an old man, I can't figure it out. And there's got to be a logical reason for it, so they say, but I can't figure it out. I'm going to relate that story to you tomorrow morning. So give me a call between 8 and 9, the first hour, for your scary stories. Halloween. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. While I'm waiting for your call, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I am so proud of these people. They've been with me for a long time on this program because they're excellent at what they do, and doing the right thing matters. They've got a great big fall tire sale going on right now for your passenger car tires, pickup and SUV tires. This is a great time for you to get into any one of the 7 locations and check out the extremely great tire buys for your vehicle. And you know what else? They've got the best in brake service with highly trained brake technicians, and they've got front-end alignments, shocks and struts, and batteries. And I urge you, with the colder temperatures coming in, that battery's going to be a little bit overstressed in those cool mornings, so make sure you've got a good battery. If not, they've got all the batteries that will work for you. At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline. Love to hear from you. We got just a couple of minutes left here this morning. Wheels, are you going to go trick-or-treating tomorrow night? What are you going to do?
Well, because you kind of had me stumped there for a second, because even I don't know what my plans are yet.
Oh, well, have you gone trick-or-treating a lot in the past?
I have, but as I get older, I start to realize it's better to just go buy my own candy and then stay in and just watch movies.
All right. Are you one of these scary movie guys? Do you like those movies that really scare you to death? I don't like that kind of stuff.
I do, but I think it's just because I'm younger. My parents don't necessarily like it. They're like, why do you even watch that trash? And I'm just, I don't know. I guess it's just because I'm young. And
do you have a certain kind of scary movie that you like better than others? I mean, what's the venue that you like the most? I do like kind of the Freddy, what was it, Freddy, or Friday the 13th, or Freddy on Elm Street, or whatever it was?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare. Okay.
And then Friday the 13th with Jason Voorhees. But I'm not much for the gore type of horror movies. I know people like that because it's kind of old school.
No.
But I don't know. I can't stand a lot of gore, so
okay.
I have to say I don't know. I'm into ghosts.
You're kind of into you're into the mental aspect of scaring people, not the physical aspect, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just, for some reason, the paranormal has always interested me, and so it's just...
Okay, well, tomorrow morning you better be listening, because I'm going to tell you a story when I was just a young lad of 12 years of age. And I'm going to tell you a story that to this day, I still can't figure it out, and I don't have any answers. Well, and we're going to ask for scary stories tomorrow in the first hour, okay?
Did it scare you a little bit, being Little Zeb?
Little Zeb? It scared me a lot because nobody could come up with any answers, and to this day it still scares me sometimes to think about the consequences. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today. Wheels, you're going to take it away to CBS News. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06 with scary stories and lots more tomorrow morning on Tuesday. Remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. Zeb at the Ranch, God bless.